Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How's everyone doing? This is Abdul Rahman Waheed joining you live from Cincinnati, Ohio. Just drove down from Michigan, came straight, found a table, sitting in a room. We have an iftar program over here about half an hour. So, subhanAllah, like going live is a struggle everywhere we go, but alhamdulillah, somehow Allah makes it happen for us. It's 100% because of your sincerity, your level of interest, and your love for us that we, even in the most impossible situations, somehow Allah makes it happen. So I did not think I would be here on time today at 7 o'clock and Eastern Standard Time. And I got here just right before 7, set up, and just joined you live from Cincinnati, Ohio. This place is called Orif. May Allah bless you all. Thank you. Welcome to Cincinnati. Yes, I am going to be here today and till tomorrow night. Well, if you're from the community, I will be around doing Jummah khutbah over here in a couple of masjids, and then evening program. Then I think there's an iftar banquet at since the MSA that's organizing at the college over here in Cincinnati. So thank you. We look forward to every year to these sessions, highlight of Ramadan. May Allah bless you. This is because of you all, your love and your interest, and that Allah makes it happen for us. Cincinnati is about 3-4 hours away, but Ramadan, no sleep. This morning, I visited. Usually we get some rest in the morning, but this morning I visited one of our elders in our community. May Allah give him shifa. But he was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer a few weeks ago, and then it also spread to his liver, and so we went to go see him because I'm not sure, make sure spend some time with him. So we spent a few hours with him. Subhanallah, what a man! What a man! He just as if he was the same person before he got diagnosed, right? So content, so happy, deals with you the same way. There's no there's no sense of grief and regret of or like depression or none of that. Just chilling. And subhanallah, seeing someone like him. That's why if you want to learn qualities, you have to go to people that have those qualities. You can read about it, but it doesn't have the same impact. You can read about it to learn the science of the quality, but if you actually truly want to develop qualities, you have to spend time with people of qualities. So, for example, you want to develop generosity, find and seek out people who are generous in your community and start traveling with them, being with them, spending time with them. You will start seeing your level of generosity will start increasing. You want to develop patience, spend time with people who are patient. There's a friend of mine that I love very dearly. He's Dr. Mayman from Phoenix, Arizona. I met him 2013 December, and he's just a patient man, like a sabir, a strong person. And so me spending time with him, I developed, I won't say I developed, but I learned what patience looks like, how the embodiment of patience, him and his wife, mashallah, even his wife, I got to know her recently, but you can see the patience, the embodiment of patience. They have the 2 of their children passed away with cancer, so many different struggles in their life. But subhanAllah, the eye is more on what Allah has blessed them with, not what was taken from them. So you spend time with people of patience, you start learning how to be patient. You spend time with people who are generous, you start learning how to be generous. The opposite is true as well. That's why it's 19th juz. We'll just jump right into it. The segue, beautiful. And it was not my intention to speak about that, but at the beginning of the 19th juz, remember we said Furqan was right after Surah Nur, Surah Furqan comes, and it's a distinction factor. It gives you the ability to distinguish between right and wrong. Because remember, you can have beauty outside, but if you're blind, you can't see it. Or you can have eyesight, but if it's dark, you can't see and appreciate the beauty. So the Nur of Iman gives you both the external and internal light, and you can see things and you can appreciate beauty. Now, when you start seeing things, right? Once you start seeing things, brothers and sisters, you might fall upon people or situations or environments that are the opposite. Now, I was speaking about developing qualities. Like I met, the Amir Sahib named Shaykh Abdullah Waheed today. But you end up meeting people or going to environments that the way that this verse of the Quran, verse number 27 in Surah Furqan, Allah says, وَيَوْمَ يَعُضُّ الظَّالِمُ عَلَى يَدَيْهِ يَقُولُ يَا لَيْتَنِي اتَّخَذْتُ مَعَ الرَّسُولِ سَبِيلًا يا ويلتى ليتني لم أتخذ فلانا خليلا لقد أضلني عن الذكر بعد إذ جاءني وكان الشيطان الإنسان خذولا. The opposite is true. He said, Allah is saying, and the day the oppressors will start chewing up his hands, and he will say, Ya laytani, I wish I took the Prophet, I wish I took a pathway and I became a friend, a follower of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because when you make a decision, you also have to look at the alternative. What is the alternative of this? Some people that's how you decide things. Okay, I'm not going to do pre-med anymore. All right, what are you going to do? First, look at the alternative and see if the alternative has merit. This is how, like, 101 decision making goes. Does the alternative have merit? What is the journey of the alternative? What is the requirement of the alternative? Based on the alternative, you make decision to switch over or leave what you're doing. For example, this is a touchy topic, but for example, Taraweeh, people take this to like 8 rakats, 20 rakats, 50 rakats. I try to simplify this. Like it has nothing to do with how many rakats. Of course, the more sajdas you do, the closer you get to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the more blessed you are. So it's best that we pray as much as we can. Maybe if we can't pray, all 20, we can pray 6 or 4 or 8 or 10 in the masjid, and you're planning to go back home and get energy and pray another 8, 10 at home or 20 at home. May Allah bless you. You can pray as much as you want. You should pray all night. But then look at there's certain, how Allah has, the way He has created this world with our shaitan and nafs around us, and nafs with us, shaitan around us. Right now he's locked up, but he's made effort on nafs long enough. Now check this out. A person who decides to pray, for example, 6 rakats tarawih, what is the alternative for the youngsters, not the elders? 6 rakats or 8 rakats, 10 rakats, whatever it is. If the alternative is to go stand outside the masjid and talk for another 15, 20 minutes, then you need to compare the two. What is more valuable in the eyes of Allah? What is going to be more beneficial for you in the dunya and akhirah? The 15, 20-minute conversation outside the masjid, or the extra 4 or 6 rakats? When you compare, then you will always come to the point where, no, it's better I just pray another 4 or 6 rakats, because I would be doing nothing better anyways. Sometimes people say, Sheikh, you're spending so much time with us. There's nothing better I could be doing anyways. What, you want me to sleep in my room? Be in my hotel room? What else could I be doing? I love to do this. Alternative is to be in my room alone? No, I'd rather be with you, right? So when you look at alternative, then you make the decision. No. So when it comes to following, it's either you follow the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in this verse Allah is describing, or the alternative is you're following somebody else. And no alternative is better than the primary the leader, and to follow him is the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. There's nothing better than that. There's no better alternative. So he's saying, Ya waylata laytani lam attakhidh fulana khalil. Oh, Bajan.
Assalamualaikum, man. You guys started early today.
No, we didn't. You came late, Bajan.
Come on, man. I'm on time. I'm on Habib time.
I wanted to talk about something specific, but we started speaking about something else, and I just wanted to conclude that discussion. And then you and me have to speak about something. I got to put something into your mind. I want to talk about something today with you. Something different.
I'm ready, man. I'm ready, man. Look at me. I'm all ready, waiting for you, man. You see that Habib thing right there behind me? Send me location.
MashaAllah, you're traveling somewhere too?
Send me location. See that?
MashaAllah. Maybe Habib's watching.
Khalas. Bismillah.
You good, Bajan?
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, you were driving. I was driving myself too. We're all happy you're here, man. We got to be here daily, man. Tomorrow I'm gonna be in Cincinnati. We'll jump on. I'll figure out where to jump on for sure.
No, we're all here, man. We got to work. No day off. So many people waiting to listen to you. 2,399 devices, and we only got one heart. That means people not loving us enough.
But you're not supposed to look at that stuff.
That's all I look at. I look at numbers. I look at followers. I look at people,
Where's the angel sitting today?
They don't got spikes for angels. They're standing right now. You're so funny, man. Go, Mufti, what are you talking about today?
So I'm just concluding about how you You basically, the way to develop qualities is to be with people of quality, and you see the embodiment of that quality in them, and it starts impacting you. The opposite spectrum is what Allah is mentioning over here in verse number 27, 28. Now Allah speaking about, if you spend if you spend long enough time with people who are embodiments of bad qualities. They're lazy in salah, they're neglectful of tilawah, they're not respectful to their parents, or they're not generous, or they're not forgiving. Those qualities also start impacting you. You know that blessed tree, shajara tayyiba, the blessed tree, any tree around it that that is not growing, that is, what happens, you have to remove those trees, because those trees that are old, and they will end up taking the nutrition that's coming to the main tree, and they'll drain the nutrition that was supposed to be for the shajara tayyiba. It'll drain that. Similarly, if there are people in your life, if they you can be in a spiritual gathering, but just one gesture of theirs, one discussion of theirs, one comment of theirs, it will drain the spirituality from you. So similarly is the case with bad friends and bad environment. We're not speaking about that today, but I was just trying to make a point about how, when you have that, when in Surah Al-Furqan, Allah brings it up at the beginning, then He tells us what kind of friends we need, what qualities we should find in friends. Now you go ahead and recite the verses from Waheed Rahman. Recite all those verses instead of looking at to us telling you what friends you should get. Look at verses from verse number 63 all the way till verse number 77 in Surah Al-Furqan. People who have those qualities, that have even one of those qualities, those are the people that you want to be with. People who are humble, people who pray at night, people who make dua, people who spend, people who stay away from major sins, people who do tawbah, people who are not present at wrong places, people when they are reminded of Allah, they're not blind and deaf, people who are making dua all the time. These are people that you need to be around. All right, Bajan? So that's what Surah Furqan basically is speaking about. Now, I wanted to, like, one of the things that you see from Surah Nur, and wallahi, today I was reading these verses, Bajan, in 19 juz. Today I have to focus on a few verses that, because we spoke about Surah Nur yesterday, the sight that is opened up to us when we can now appreciate the beauty. Now Allah in 19th juz at the beginning, He speaks about people who do not appreciate the beauty of the Quran, and He says, "Inna qawmi ittakhadhu hadha al-Qur'ana mahjura." Like, the people, the Quran is the most beautiful thing, but if you don't have light, you cannot appreciate the most beautiful thing in the world, right? The most beautiful thing in the world you can't appreciate. Like my wife yesterday, she was telling me, that I should get, like, I should not, be on my phone at night, look at screens, my eyesight's gonna get weak, and she doesn't want my eyesight to get weak. And I was like, but I said to her, but I said, what are you worried about? Like, I'm gonna lose my eyesight and I won't be able to appreciate your beauty. I'm not sure what you're worried about. Don't worry about it. So are you worried I'm gonna get blind? What's your worry? I'm not. What are you worried about? And so she's like, no, it's cool. And I'm like, it's okay. If I can't see you, it's no big deal. Don't worry about it. So what are you giving me the look for like that? I would worry if I can't see you, especially that mustache of yours. If I can't see that, that'd be a problem, man.
Yeah. Mufti, your wife loves you and just wants to make sure that you sleep. Your eyes are comfort. They're not overwhelmed. They're not stressed, because even before you sleep, if you're looking at a screen, it stresses your pupil and dilates it, and there's the cornea and all that kind of stuff. There's they could have some stress on your eyes, and I agree with your wife that she should make sure that you have no technology around before you go to bed, so you wake up fresh. You don't have any dry eyes in the morning, and these are things that I think your wife is absolutely right about. But
I didn't want you to tell me that, but nevertheless, I wanted to just the subtle beauty of Quran in the way Allah formulates some words and letters. You want to go for it, Bajan? In the 19th verse,
tell me what you're talking about. So I have the Quran open in front of me.
Passages. There's two passages that I want to just because now this is just a small glimpse into opening our sight into Quran, so we can appreciate the beauty of Quran. Otherwise, it will be right in front of us. A person who doesn't have sight, it will be right in front of them, but they can't see it. But then open up verses. I'll open right now.
I have it open.
verses, verses number 80. You know, this is Ibrahim al-Islam saying about الذي خلقني from 78. الذي خلقني فهو يهدين.
Surah what?
والذي سورة فرق سورة شعراء. الذي خلقني فهو يهدين.
Mm.
والذي هو يطعمني ويسقين.
Oh yeah.
وإذا مت فهو يشفين. والذي يميتني ثم يحيين. So
Tell me,
brothers,
man. When I read these surahs in Taraweeh, I get so nervous. It's such yesterday was this was reciting in Taraweeh.
I'll
It's
tell
not
you
easy.
something, you won't make mistakes anymore. So basically, in these few verses, first we'll speak about this is Ibrahim Islam saying he's the one who created me and then he guided me. He's the one who's feeding me and he's giving me nourishment through water. And when I get sick, he's the one that gives me cure, and he's the one that gives me death and then brings me back to life. Now there are in English there's only one way of saying a connecting word, and then. In Arabic, there are three separate ways that are mentioned in these verses. There are three ways to do it, and they're all mentioned in these verses. Okay.
Wow.
The first way is with fa. الذي خلقني fa. Okay. That the fa is mentioned. Then the other way is wow. In Arabic, wow also means and. It's connection. Okay. The fa.
Transition. There's transition.
Yeah, the fa is a transition connection. The wow is a transition connection. And the third way is thumma. Thumma is also a transition connection. Now, what's the difference, right? So before we go into the verse, check this out, Bajan. The wow, when there's wow, it just تفيد الإشراك في الحكم ومطلق الجمع. It just, when wow comes, it's just to indicate that something happened and there's some connection at the same time. It doesn't explain how much longer did the second thing happen. Did the second thing happen first or the first thing happen first? Like Shaykh Abdullah and me walked into the room. When you say Shaykh Abdullah, Bajan and me walked in, if you add wow, it could have been I walked in first, you walked in first. It could have been you walked in and I walked in 5 hours later, but we were both together there. That's what wow is, okay?
Your explanation of wow is wow. Wow.
All right. Then the fa. The fa is also transition. Look at the beauty of Allah. All right. Fa. This cannot be made up by man. Cannot be. All right. This is fa. Fa means something that is in connection, but it means tartib and right after. Like if you put fa, that means this happened right after in tartib, like in sequence, and it also happened immediately after. Tartib wa ta'qib. So there's something to speak about when fa comes. The two things that you think of right away, that this happened next and this happened immediately after the first thing. Okay. Yep. And then the last one is thumma. Thumma, it comes for tartib but tarahi. Thumma also means it came after, but tarahi. There's a delay in it.
Right? There's a suspense in between both actions.
Both actions. So thumma has after, but a delay. Now look at how Allah is using the words. Allah says, الذي خلقني فهو يهدين. The one who created me, and the transition letter that's used there is fa, because he created me, and as soon as he created me, he guided me. There's no delay.
We were born on the fitrah.
Right away. As soon as he decided to create me, the nutfa, as soon as he did, it says this speaks about the yaqeen of Ibrahim alayhi salam, the strength of it. Like right away, there's fa. It's not summa. It's not wow.
Don't hit that table hard, because I feel bad for whatever you have some big hands. Whatever you're going like this on, have mercy on it, brother.
All right. Anyways, all right. The next one is check this out, Bajan. The next one is وَالَّذِي هُوَ يُطْعِمُنِي وَيَسْقِينِ. He's the one that feeds me and gives me water. So over here, there's in this passage, he's just the murad is jam'a baynahuma. It's just to connect. These are two things that come together.
And sometimes you eat first, sometimes you drink first, even in life.
Exactly.
So what do you do first? Do you eat first or you drink first?
Drink.
Personally.
Drink.
Yeah. I eat. I'm not going to give my delicious food away for fluids.
I know how you do. I like to drink first, for sure.
No, if you're fasting, you break your fast for the day, then you drink a lot of water. Of course, you're dehydrated. But honestly, if I had a lot of good food and a lot of good drinks, I'm going to go with food first.
I know. So you have over here the wow, right? So that there's no, it's after which one comes first, which one comes second.
Mm, beautiful.
That's not the main thing over here. Then check this out. Then he says, وَإِذَا مَرِضْتُ فَهُوَ يَشْفِينِ. And when I get sick, like immediately after I get sick, Allah is the one who's giving me cure, right? Now he's not saying وَإِذَا مَرِضْتُ وَهُوَ يَشْفِينِ. He's not saying وَإِذَا مَرِضْتُ ثُمَّ يَشْفِينِ. No, Allah is, for Allah, he's saying that over here, that he's explaining about the ni'mah, the favor of Allah of afiyah, and he's focusing on how quickly the shifa is and not focusing on the marad. He's focusing on how quickly, Ibrahim is focusing on how quickly Allah gives me cure, and he's not even thinking about the sickness part of it.
Are you also going to talk about the change of the verbiage? It's
of
not
course.
Okay, I don't want to give that away.
No, I mean, in that same word, there's an adab. We'll speak about that in a second, but we're speaking about the fa first, right?
Okay,
so there's a
go
fa over there. Then finally, he says, وَالَّذِي يُمِيتُنِي ثُمَّ يُحْيِينِ. And then he's the one who gives me death, and then he'll resurrect me. Over here, between death and resurrection, because there's a tarahi in imtidad zaman between the two things. By the time you go in your grave and you resurrect it, there's a long time. So the word the choice that over there is thumma, not wow and fa.
Beautiful.
Right? It's just like, just the whole, that's the beauty of Quran. And of course, there's an adab element over there, Bajan. You were saying, وَإِذَا مَرِضْتُ فَهُوَ يَشْفِينِ. Everywhere else he's saying, when Allah does this to me, Allah does this for me. But when it comes to the matter of sickness,
he says, huwa yut'imuni. He's the one that feeds me. Huwa yasqini. He's the one that gives me nourishment. He's the one that created me. He's the one that guided me. But he doesn't blame Allah when it comes to sickness. He doesn't say, وَإِذَا huwa amradani. He doesn't say that. He said, وَإِذَا maridtu. Go ahead.
Basically, so there's one thing you learn from there is even the adab and the way we speak to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? There's an adab when you speak to Allah, you don't attribute negative things to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the way Allah never attributed negative things to the Prophet sallam, when he said ma wadda'aka rabbuka wa ma qala. Even in the way Allah used this ayah, wadda'a is bidding farewell to someone you love. So I love you. When I'm done with moments of the Quran today, I'll say wida. You don't say the word wida to someone you don't love. When you don't love somebody, you don't say I'm doing wida. You say hajartuhu, taraktuhu. But wadda'tuhu is this emphasis of, that's why the word forsaken is not right about wadda'a. It's like, no, out of love for you, I bid you farewell. That's even in the word, there's so much love for the Prophet ﷺ. But
yes, Allah saying to the Prophet ﷺ, I didn't bid you farewell while I was pleased with you, neither did I ignore you when I was disappointed at you. وَمَا قَلَى.
But see, the thing with qala is there's no ka there.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that.
There's no ka there. So
the ka was there. The ulama said if the ka was there, then there's a possibility that Allah was disappointed the Prophet.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a possibility.
If there's exact, so wama qala means displeased. So Allah, out of adab for the Prophet, did not even attach one letter ka with that word, because it is far-fetched, not even remotely possible that the word displeasure can be attached to you.
Even abasa, third person, abasa, somebody frowned, وَتَوَلَّى أَنْ جَاءَهُ الْأَعْمَى أَنْ جَاءَهُ, some third person, وَمَا يُدْرِيكَ. So we don't want you to feel that you're being attacked for something that we can correct in a very respectful way. Beautiful, Mufti Sahib. Go ahead.
John, one more thing. So we said something about Furqan.
Why is adab so important? You want to talk about that for a second?
I mean, we can speak about that. We'll speak about that in Surah Hujurat. But adab, if you flip the word adab around,
just the language of adab, the concept of adab, the adab that's in the Quran, the adab that's in the Prophet's language with the Prophet, Allah with the Prophet. Why is it such a big thing in our culture?
If you flip adab around, alif da ba, it spells ba da bada'a. So it always, everything starts. Bada'a means to start. You flip it, it basically, the word itself is telling you everything starts with adab.
Like كل شيء بدأ بالأدب.
خلاص, that's it.
Wow, I never thought about that way.
الدين كله adab. Like, you have to understand the mannerism of everything. Look, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is teaching us how to, a person came to the Prophet sallallahu and he just said salam to the Prophet, حتى تستأنسوا وتسلموا على أهلها, right? So he said salam before walking in, and the Prophet said, go back out. He said, but I followed the command. He said, but you never did tasta'nisu. Tasta'nisu is like the smallest subtlety in this verse. Like, You never made the first person that you're coming to visit feel your presence before you arrived at the door. There has to
Wow.
be that. There has to be that making that person feel that that person is there. What that
Mm.
means is like at that time the Sahaba would be doing dhikr all the time. So the Mufassirin say that when you're coming close to the door, just start doing dhikr a bit loud, so they kind of have a feeling that you're coming, so they become
Wow.
comfortable with you coming, right? Then
Wow.
you say salam. Can I come in?
Wow.
So
I
for
never looked
us,
at the word hatta tastanisu that way, like that.
yeah, when you're coming home to your in-laws, Bajan, like you want to have them prepared for you, right? So
Mm.
with us, if we're not doing dhikr all the time, that looks like we're showing off. But maybe like closing the door of the car a little loud, taking the
Mm.
bags out, like
Mm.
making some sounds so they feel like, oh, they're here. That's even that
You know
small.
how I like to do it. You know how I like to do it. A surprise, 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 baby! I'm here. What are you laughing for? You laugh at everything I say.
Bro, that's you actually say it to your in-laws.
Surprise, surprise.
You
You
probably
know?
cry when you walk in because you get emotional.
Oh, when I get there, I start crying. When I talk about my in-laws, when I see my in-laws, I get emotional. But Mufti Sahab, but it's true. You should first take permission to come in. You should make them feel comfortable. Even the adab in Surah in Surah Ahzab, when you eat at the Prophet's house, don't stick around. You in that ذَلِكَ كَانَ يُؤْذَى النَّبِيَّ فَيَسْتَحِي مِنكُم. So adab is such a adab with elders, adab with in-laws, adab with parents, adab with seniors, adab with teachers, everyone. This whole thing is adab.
Inshallah, we get a chance to speak about it with dedicated verses. But that's a beautiful thing you brought up. But Jan, one more verse in Surah Naml. Listen to
Mm.
this one. I like the beauty of the wording of Quran. Check this out. He says, verse number 18. حتى إذا أتوا على واد النمل قالت نملة يا أيها النمل ادخلوا مساكنكم لا يحطمنكم سليمان وجنوده وهم لا يشعرون. All right.
Can
This
I
is
say something? What's up? Can I say something? What's up?
Go ahead. Of course.
In the story of Suleiman and Dawood in Surah Nam, right? And then in this story, where God is talking about the two magnificent prophets, Allah says, وَلَقَدْ آتَيْنَا دَاوُودَ وَسُلَيْمَانَ عِلْمًا. We gave Dawood and Suleiman knowledge. وَقَالَ الْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ. And they thanked Allah for the virtue they were given. فَضَّلَنَا عَلَى كَثِيرٍ مِّنْ عِبَادِهِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. They thanked Allah for the virtue of not, but they were given kingdom too, but they're thanking Allah for the knowledge they have. And so then in the might of the forces of the jinns and the ins and tayr, birds, all this. In this big story, Allah is talking about an ant. Subhanallah, there's like sometimes there are people whose presence they take away the whole room. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to feel even the presence of Sulaiman and Dawood. I'm not going to ignore the ant.
SubhanAllah, man.
That's all I wanted to say.
May Allah bless you. So don't ever feel that your effort is insignificant. Like
No. Like, these big people doing this big things. The small ant, the small work that you're doing, like this ant, documented.
SubhanAllah, beautiful. The hudhud, the bird,
Oh,
small
don't
bird.
don't get me on the hudhud. If I start talking about the hudhud, I'm going to fly away. So that's why I'm not talking about the hudhud.
No, but I love that point as a segue to the next verse. Is like, you sometimes can get overwhelmed. Like, I'm not a sheikh, I'm not miftah, I'm not yaqeen, I'm not qalam. No, like at your capacity, even in the middle of these two giants, Allah highlighted the ant, and not only highlighted, named the surah after the ant.
Yeah, the surah's name after that.
Yeah, to show the appreciation of the effort of the ant, which is just this care that this ant had, this conversation with his people. Beautiful, Bajan. May Allah make us like that. So Allah is saying, until they came to this valley of these ants, the ant said, ya ayyuhan naml, oh ants, udkhulu masakinakum, enter into your homes. Then the word she used over here, la yahtimannakum Sulaiman wa junuduhu, right? Do not that. Why? Because Suleiman and his army can crush you, and while they do not know. And even in this ayah, there's an adab. Like, she's not saying in a negative way. She's saying they will wahum la yash'urun. They won't know. It's
What
fine. Don't blame them. Without blaming them, not making them seem like they're gonna crush you and they're evil. Like, even in the conversation of this ant, there's this level of adab about Sulaiman alayhi salam. Like, how can Sulaiman do that if he knew? But the word I want to focus on, Bajan, which is when I was reading this in the car right now, Mohsen was with me, I went literally bananas. Like, I was like, oh my God. Like like I don't like using this blowing up and
Don't use those violent vocabs. We Muslims don't blow up things. Don't do any of that. Oh yeah, I exploded out of excitement. We don't use that. We just get fiberglass.
So the word hatama, Bajan, is a type of word that there are many different words in Arabic that speak about breaking. حشم كسر فأصبح هشيما تذروه الرياح حشم كسر. These are words that talk about breaking. Hatama, why did Allah use the word hatama over here? Hatama is only used for hatama, this word is only used when you are shattering something that is dry, that has like a crispy or shattery sound to it, like
crystal sound.
Bread. When you like that sound, bread,
like glass,
glass, absolutely like glass, literally like glass. That's the perfect example of is glass. So, but an ant, you don't use the word hatama for animals. You don't use hatama for something like a cat or a dog. You don't use hatama for that. So when the word was placed over here, a person can question that in Arabic the word hatama is not used for crushing an animal or an insect. But studies now, after hundreds of years, come out and say that actually, even though the ant is so small, it actually has an outer bone called an exoskeleton. And check this out. And the body of ants are mostly composed of large amount of silicone. And guess what? Where is silicone used? In the manufacturing of glass.
Beautiful.
So the word that
was so much science in that last two phrases. I almost lost myself there.
Check this out. But the most appropriate verb to use to crush had to be hatama, because Allah already knew He's the creator of the ant. We can find out later. We will find out later. But He's the one who created the ant, and He knew the correct word to use for crushing and breaking was hatam and not kasr and not hasham. So when I read that, I was like, subhanallah. Like,
can I say something? Can I say something? I want you to finish the hatam about these insects are spoken about, like the ankabut, for example, the mosquito, the spider, right? Beit al-ankabut. You have the bee, nahl, the ant. There's something very important about these insects compared to other creatures. They're very sophisticated. If you look at a web, very elegantly put together, stretched, and then how they do and how they're able to capture their prey through that web or live on this, and they lay their eggs there. But then you have also the bee that you talked about, how it travels, very sophisticated, and even the way the ants communicate. In the bee in the ant colony, there's queens, there's one leader, and then everyone's working for one cause. Organized structure. You ever see the colony of ants walking in the desert, how they're very structured? For them to make a hole to live in, they got to work together for each other's safety. They're so small, but then they can carry the burden they carry. They carry 10 times more than what their own size, the burden they carry. And really, it's a lot to just look at these small creatures and say, man, what are they doing right that we're doing wrong, that we have to learn from these small creatures? And one of the things is that humans can also carry a little bit more burden than they understand. Humans think that, the ability to carry a burden is bottled, meaning la yukallifullahu nafsan illa wus'aha. Allah says we will not burden someone more than they can bear, right? Most people use this tafsir and ayah in hardship. Oh, Allah is testing me. Allah won't test you more than you can bear. But if you pay attention to that ayah, the ayah is not revealed in a context of test or hardships. Aman al-Rasul. It's about Iman. Rasul ma unzila ilayhi rabbil mu'minun kullun amana billahi wa malaikatihi kutubihi rusuli la nufarriqu bayna ahadin min rusuli. And then Allah says la yukallifu Allah nafsan illa wus'aha. And of course, it does mean that too, but the capacity of the human being is the burden that human is willing to take. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I believe, and Mufassirin should, I'm sure Mufassirin talk about this, that the ability of a person is not bottled, it's not capped. You have the ability to grow. Like a boy or girl, when they're young, they don't make their beds. But when they go to college, they're making their beds, they're making their food. But when they get married, not only they're making their beds, they're waking up multiple times in the middle of the night. So now the mother who was 11 years old. Parents thought that where she was not going to ever become successful. Now she's running a whole family, taking care of her husband, her children, her parents. This is a great, and then she becomes a principal of a school. Or a male, same thing. He grows up, take care of the family. The more responsibility we take, the more we get the privilege to service.
The strength to bear the burden. Actually, I would say before the responsibility is the intention and the aspiration. Like it's the how much burden you can take is through ulu al himma. Like is actually through how much you actually aspire to take. Like, I can do this, right? Like you have this, I want to do, like you have a great goal in life, and based on that, those who were righteous before us, they had ulu al himma, high ambitions and aspirations, and based on that, Allah made their tolerance level increase and kept on giving them more responsibility. And with more responsibility came with greater reward in dunya and akhirah. So may Allah bless you for highlighting that ant, burden, even though the body is so small, but can take much more burden. And that's basically summarizes the entire 19th juz.
Our nation lives short lives, size-wise compared to Qawm Ad, we're smaller physically.
Yep.
But our burden is greater. We have the responsibility of Islam to the day of judgment.
Absolutely.
And we're like an ant in this capacity. But with the help of Allah, we'll get things done.
May Allah bless you. May Allah bless you. Absolutely. With the help of Allah, we're like an ant compared to the previous nations, but Allah gave us Laylatul Qadr. Previous nation never had Laylatul Qadr. Allah gave us a prophet. Previous nation didn't have the Prophet. Allah gave us a Quran that's preserved. Previous nations did not have a Quran that was preserved. Yes, we have a shorter life. Yes, we have smaller bodies. Yes, we have less resources. But this right here, just think of yourself, Allah is mentioning and highlighting an ant and a bird in the story of these two kings, that and hopefully among all these nations before us, Allah will highlight us. And that's why this ummah is like that ambulance, like the cars are waiting at the traffic light, and the ambulance comes at the end, and the cars are already standing at the traffic light. But when the ambulance comes, everyone's waiting, the ambulance goes right by, except for in Pakistan, nobody stops. But everybody else, they're waiting in these countries, and we're like the ummah of the Prophet, that ambulance. We're gonna swing right by all these other ummahs and go straight into Jannah first, and then they're gonna go into Jannah.
I don't like the ambulance. I don't like the ambulance analogy. It gets me there terrified. Why not? Why don't you say straight state trooper?
I get terrified with cops because you know me. I don't like cops.
No, I don't like ambulance. I see an ambulance, I get it goes so sad. When I see a police, me and the detective, we get along. But I see your point. Just clear the path, baby. Yeah. We're going to Jannah.
Yeah, where the ambulance is saving, it's a paramedic saving people, man. We're saving people's iman. We're saving people's akhirah. That's why we're going.
Oh, that's why. Okay, I apologize on that one then.
We're not giving them tickets, bro.
Yeah, we're not giving tickets.
But yeah, may Allah bless you. May Allah bless you. Let's come back tomorrow. We'll talk about 28th juz, inshallah. Jazakallah khair. May Allah bless everyone for coming on. This 19th juz opens up. If you start seeing with nur and you develop your iman and your heart's clean, then you start seeing the right friends around you, and those friends are going to be identified in Abdul Rahman. You have in Surah Al-Shu'ara stories of all these prophets, right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about all these prophets and their endings. You start seeing the hikmah behind their suffering and their pain and their patience for the reward of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then you start seeing the beauty. I highlighted a few verses of the Quran. So we should start, once we have that, we make an effort, and we know the beauty is there. But the fact is, can we see the beauty? That's and we just got to keep making an effort.
This person says the fire truck.
That's fine too. That's fine too.
It's better than a police car, right?
Yeah, better than a police car.
Yeah. Honestly, next year we got to talk about Prophet Sulaiman. He's one of my favorite prophets. You know why, right? You know why?
Because he had money.
He had money. We don't talk about people who had money and how their success and their tests. These are things we got to talk about because, being poor is a test, but being rich is another test. And I'm kind of feeling that test right now. You know what I'm saying? And
in your dreams, in your dreams, I got it.
Why are you saying like that? Like, I feel richer than yesterday. I did more salah, more ibadah. I'm not
you're switching it up on me, bro. You're switching it up, Bajan.
Come on, man. So I want you to talk about me a little bit. I want you to talk about, always talk about the poor people and
why do you do all this for? Like, what's up with that?
Followers like you guys, they make us rich people feel like we're going to hell. This is not like it is. Like, you gotta make us, you gotta give us the both sides of the story. It's not just one side. You do sabr, you fast, you go to Jannah, inshallah. If you enjoy too much, you're gonna lose enjoyment in Jannah. Well, why you keep on saying that kind of stuff?
Why you never said that?
People say that. People imply it that way. oh, you're wasting money buying nice car. What is the reality? Didn't the Prophet have a horse? Didn't he have a nice camel? Yes, he had a donkey, donkey. How did they say donkey? The other day I was listening to a guy, he was at a protest and he was saying ceasefire. You know how he was saying ceasefire?
Uh,
Mufti Sahab, if I'm going to tell you this, don't laugh, because if you laugh, you might break your wudu. Okay? He's saying ceasefire now, ceasefire. But the way he was saying it is like cheese fire, cheese. He's like yelling at the Capitol building, cheese fire now, cheese. It's so much for me, so much entertainment. I feel like I'm laughing so much from this stuff. May Allah forgive me. But imagine the guy gets recorded, cheese fire now, and Biden goes, "Here's the cheese, no fire." God help us, man.
Allah give people of Gaza victory and help, and inshallah shelter and food and the best of this life and hereafter, inshallah. Bajan, jazakallah khair.
Assalamu alaikum, love you. Take care.
Assalamu alaikum, guys.